hope I'm doing this right. So it was encouraged to document just some things that are coming up for me as they're coming up, and it's a little overwhelming, and I think maybe overwhelming is probably the better word. I want to say excited, but I don't know if it's just today. I'm just not feeling excited. Yeah, no, not today. Yeah, no, not today. But anyways, just this weekend alone was really great. I really feel that the people in my soul tribe, I guess is what it's called, are really helping me grow and helping me shift my perspective on how I view things. Even the things that I'm learning, I'm shifting in how I'm looking at that. And so I you know who you are, so I appreciate you very much. And so, but anyways, in this recent shift from where I was emotionally when I was struggling with just a lot of the truths that were coming out, this most recent time frame I've really appreciated and have enjoyed, because I've become a little more or tapping into my creative side that I hadn't done in a very long time, and it makes me feel so complete, and it just the continued validation of what I know I can do and create. Just the sense of creating is beautiful. So I just wanted to share that, what I've created. So most recently, and I'm probably, by the time this video comes out, if this piece is integrated at all in it, I was inspired by, actually, on my, so I have post-its. I carry post-its. I'll show you guys. So I have a lot of post-its on my mirrors that I use as a way to reflect, and a way to really just not stay focused on this physical body, I guess, but really more, I mean, and it taps into the whole mental health piece of it, of like restructuring your beliefs, right? The whole CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy concept of reframing and rewording, you know, identifying those unhelpful thought patterns and the errors, and reframing them, or you know, whatever it may be, if it's identifying positive affirmations, anything that will help then impact what you think, what you say, and what you do. And so I with this process, as I'm reading books, as I'm watching videos, and just learning more about what I'm experiencing, I'm writing stuff down so I don't forget, but also so that I just remind myself every day, like this is what I want to focus on. And everything that I've come across, I feel, has been positive. It's been for good, changes within me, so that I can then be a better version of myself with others. So one of those was specifically this sense of alignment, right, of your true self. And you can tell when you're unaligned, unbalanced, and your body will tell you, you know, when you receive, you know, health illnesses or just stress, your body will let you know when you're out of balance. And so the terms that I keep hearing and reading was alignment of self, right? True alignment, and then in my head, I just automatically equated it to balance, right? The once you're in alignment with yourself, you're a balance. I have been tapping into more of the Zodiac signs. I happen to be a Gemini, and Gemini cusper with Taurus. So cusper apparently means you're in the middle, between signs, May 22nd, and I guess it ends May, Taurus ends May 21st. And then there's just all these other signs, different Venus, moon stuff. I don't know. But so anyways, Gemini. I'm a Gemini. And I do see certain characteristics where I'll go from one extreme to the other. Not so much where it's, in essence, like a bipolar type of characteristic. Characteristics or behavior tendencies, whatever you want to refer to them as. But it's more of this recognition within myself that I, can go from one extreme to the other, not instantly or anything, but just that recognition that I can go to those polar extremes. And then at the same time, it's that wishy-washiness, right? Or I might present a certain way and then I might change my mind and present another way once I get more information, or, so just different characteristics. And so just recognizing most recently my own alignment with my true self. And I know that I'm coming across to a lot of like family members in a way where it's a little alarming, because they're telling me I'm different. You seem different. And I do feel different, but a good different, like I'm aligned. And I wasn't for so many years. So then I thought about balance, right? And you think of the scales, and we're in Libra time. It happens to be October. And just, Libra, if you know the Zodiac signs, of Libra has a little scale thingies. And so I created this post-it that says, what does it say? True alignment of self equals balance. And this really, it just really inspired me in a good way, a really good way. But it inspired me, and so I started reading up a little bit more on the signs, right? Zodiac signs, trying to inform myself. I mean, I've always known I was a Gemini, but I never really paid attention to it. And so I have this journal, it's not a journal, I do notes within like to-do lists and stuff, so it serves many purposes. But anyways, one of the creative things was creating a t-shirt design, and I had started that the early beginning part of this month. Some of the ideas didn't turn out, and it's one of those situations where you start that process and it doesn't turn out, and sometimes when it doesn't turn out, it discourages you. But then and that's like a crossroads, right, of deciding whether or not to move forward and keep pushing through if you intuitively know that something's going to work out. And so this was something that I just knew, like, something's going to work out, don't give up. And I had to give up on maybe some of the old ideas. But once I did that, once I let go, new ideas started popping in. And that's the beauty of those crossroads, right? When you are confronted with a challenge, and you can either fall into a period of despair or disappointment and give up, or you can use that energy, right? If it's a negative energy or feeling, and transform it within yourself to, push further and push through, and really visualize what you see for yourself. So this is what the result of that was. I was reading up on Gemini specifically, and it was like the myths of zodiac signs, and so I said it was the myths of Gemini, and there was a part where it talked about this yin-yang, and apparently there's a lot of different Gemini type characters in different types of I don't know, places around the world, I guess. And whether it's mythology or just different storylines, right? It could be where they're like siblings, same sex, opposite sex, or different stories where they're heroes, or just it's interesting stuff. But anyways, it talked about, they also included the Asian perspective, and so they talked about the yin-yang and how it's the two sides, right? Where you can look at them as complete opposites. You know, the if you guys are familiar with the yin-yang sun, and it talked about that at a certain point where they intersect, there was something about that's the point of where transformation occurs, where there is no polarity. It's when it's one, when they are in union, and they're the transformation to transcendence or to your higher self or something like that. I don't know. I should look into that, right? Because if I'm doing this video, maybe I should write it out a little more, but whatever. I'll get around to that. But it really talked about just that point. And so I started off with this one of creating a point, and then the arrows kind of showing that flow, the movement. And then it kind of started evolving into something more like this. And instead of being like a hardcore point, it was like a star, because the whole concept of with the twins is this sense of alignment and going back to source, God, you know, higher being, whomever you believe in, and recognizing. So that point is where you're really the acceptance or the blending of both sides. And so I just started thinking about that. Well, we all have those two sides, right? We look at ourselves as good or bad. And then there's the ugly, right, that we don't show. But you know, we're in a world where there's so much polarity, especially right now, and it's very, very visually present, and you hear it, and you it's on the news and everywhere, really, and so within ourselves, oftentimes, if not all the time, there's that split, right, between how we present to the world and the stuff we don't share, and because we're either ashamed or there's guilt or a lot of unresolved emotions and feelings and events, right, all bundled up into one. And so when we don't resolve all of that, right, from a mental health perspective, there's going to be a certain tipping point, right? You can only bottle up so much before it's going to show, before it's going to come out, and that's, you know, therapy will kind of help with that. But then looking at it from a spiritual side, it's the same concept, right? I'm reading this book called Welcome, the Unwelcome, by Pema Chodron, I think I'm saying her name right. She is an American Buddhist nun, and there's this concept that she talks about called Tonglen, where you're in essence breathing in the unpleasant feelings and becoming friends with those unpleasant feelings, and then when you exhale, you're actually exhaling love, or you're exhaling positive energy, and so it was mind-blowing for me, because it reminded me of just deep breathing exercises, right? The deep breathing techniques that we as clinicians teach our clients. And it's actually the opposite, at least from the way I was trained, and maybe there's other ways also, but that was, you know, once you pick up certain interventions, you kind of stick with it. And this was one where we provide that guided visualization as someone is breathing, where they breathe in the good energy. You imagine yourself breathing in light or healing air, filling it in with your lungs, feeling it in all over your body, and then you're exhaling all the toxins. And so when I read about I think it's Tonglen, I wish I had the book right in front of me, but it's somewhere. And so I just want to make sure I get it right. And so it made me think about how we're providing that healing for others, providing techniques for them to heal, And if we're looking at spirituality as also energy, then we're unknowingly, right, contributing to the negativity around us with when we exhale, when we don't sit with that discomfort. We want to get rid of it instead, and we don't realize the possible consequence of that. But anyways, that's tangent squirrel moment. Topic for another time. But anyways, so what was I talking about? Balance, alignment, acceptance of true self, right? Both parts. And so the final ultimate design or image was this, these being the two sides, with a smaller one because if you see the yin-yang, there's the black little fish thingy and then the white one, but then there's a circle of the black in the white and then a circle of the white and the black. And so I didn't want to take away from that, because that kind of shows how we're kind of needing, there's a little bit of both in each, right? And so when I drew this, initially I was just kind of doing it as a way to think, and then it just started creating into this form of like, okay, these are going to be the two sides, this is going to be the center point that it connects, and then this is like a star indicating, well, this is where the magic kind of happens, if you want to look at it that way, where the sense of balance, the sense of true self, the sense of acceptance, love, all is harnessed almost, right? And then I realized that I had to ask. I forgot what this symbol meant, but it's the wait, it's not unity. It's forever. I forgot what it meant. I think it's forever, right, or something like that. Because I even have it here, and I just forgot what it means. I think it's just early. I haven't meditated, but I really wanted to capture this before I start meditating and start the work day, which reminds me I have a little bit of time left. And I think it means like forever or something. But anyways, so this is what that first creation was, and so then the t-shirt design kind of came out like this, right, where it'll say true alignment of self, and then the sign, and then the bottom balance, which of course was going to be more for me. But then I started thinking, well, for me it feels like it's balanced, but for other people, when they start experiencing that, they might resonate more with, well, the true alignment of self is love, or the true alignment of self is union, or the true alignment of self is intuition or healing, completeness, wholeness, blah, 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 blah. So I started writing all the words that I can think of that could probably fit into that. So then I was challenged by he who shall not be named, you know who you are, to create something with something that I also found within the Gemini myths, about one becoming two, becoming many, becoming one again. So the way I understand it was from source is one, and one person being divided into two, right? And so there's the concept of twin flames, which I will not be talking about right now. But anyway, so one becomes two, and then from those two become many. So it could be meaning like the impact, or physically like you're birthing, right, many people, or having many children, or just, I really feel it's more of the influence that you have, because that's ongoing with how many people you encounter. And then so two becoming many, and then becoming one again. And this whole concept of again, it kind of ties in with this whole twin flame idea, but not really. Or maybe it's the true underlying concepts that initially starts off as the twin flame, but then as you go through the different, you go through that process, in the end you come out differently, where it's no longer about that union or the relationship, but something even bigger. And it's the point of realizing that there is no separation, there's no true separation. We're all interconnected with one another, within family, outside of family, with my neighbors, with strangers. And once you have that realization that you are interconnected with the world around you, with all the living beings, and this includes from the smallest ant to the big sequoia trees. I'm a big tree lover and hugger, and I love nature. And but anyways, then everything just becomes so much more beautiful and so much more meaningful, and you start recognizing the how you live your life is a little more purposeful. It's when you see other people, when you see animals. And I wasn't like this. Like, I was not a big cat person. Even dogs, I loved. I have my Scruffy, but I didn't like that he was very clingy, and so just, I would tease people and just like, I'm good with a fish, but now it's more of, you see the beauty and the love, and I started noticing that once I started seeing things like that, like especially animals, they're more drawn to me. So it's just like the weirdest thing. But anyways, so he challenged me to create something with that message that resonated with me, that I shared with him. And then he said, try to come up with something. So initially this was it. I'm like, one becomes two, becomes many. So I couldn't really, I've been chewing on this whole weekend. Then this morning, of course, revelation. I wanted to keep the same image of the balance, right? If we go back to this star, this center point, the focus, and just because it really is about that unification between people, right? That connection. We're all interconnected. So it started off with just like, there we go. Just this sense of like, okay, here it is. Maybe I can create something like that. So then this was kind of like the end result. The one becoming two, becoming many, right? And then kind of coming back to this one point. And then all of this is still flowing, right? All of this is still flowing. Oh, and I don't think I pointed that out in the Yin-yang one either, but for the forever or always or whatever sign that was, the movement, I told him that I wanted the shirt design to kind of show movement by the multiple lines going back and forth, because it's not, if you look at the Yin-yang sign, it always felt 2D, like just flat. I didn't know that it actually, there's this flow, continuous flow, and I didn't know that until I was reading that article. So I still want the flow to kind of show. And then the wording on it, so like one becomes two, becomes many, becomes one. So I don't know, we haven't created the shirts yet, but these are the images, and I wanted to record that because that's something that just came up, and he said to document my experience. And then so in the mornings I listen, I meditate and I listen to videos. And so yesterday I saw some family, and I was kind of sharing a little bit of what I was going through, and which was great because I didn't even realize that they are also believers of the spiritual world, and these assumptions, right? They totally assumed I was very religious, and I could have been. I totally own that. Different parts of my life, there wasn't a sense of ownership with being more religious, right, wrong, and sin, and evil, and good, and blah blah blah. But deep down inside, there was always that, like, that doesn't sit well, completely. Not to say that religion is wrong. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe, in God. I do believe in the Word, but I also believe in my heart that there's more to that, and that every group serves a purpose, and as long as you remain balanced in that and not go from one polarized perspective to another, if you remain balanced in what you believe in, I think that's the key to embracing the differences, embracing the similarities, embracing all of us, right? And treating all of us with love. But anyways, oh, so yesterday I went to see family members and I was sharing some experience, and then they said, well, maybe you're an empath. I had heard of that term. I didn't think it was me. And then I looked it up this morning. Christina Lopes, if you guys don't follow her, she's amazing with just how she explains the spiritual awakening and even this, you know, different signs and of different things. And so I found one that was like 6 signs you might be an empath. And so I was listening. Am I an empath? And so I'll probably include that link if this goes in the video. But yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, I do experience that. I don't like specific crowds, right? Because it feels overwhelming. It feels like there's just so much going on, so much energy that I just kind of have to retreat. And it's happened where I've been to family events, and these are family events that I don't plan. And I've noticed that I'm like, whoa, there's a lot going on, and I just have to kind of put myself in a little corner. The ones that I do plan, I am more aware, I'm more conscious. I mentally and emotionally prepare for those events, and I might be a little bit more just on edge just because of my whole, you know, controlling piece in the past. But I didn't, and that's why I didn't feel like I was. But over the years, as I'm reflecting, for the most part, I didn't like large crowds. I was a loner in elementary school with except with the exception of my one friend, B, I love you. I only had really one friend consistently since kinder until 4th grade, when I went to a much smaller school, and that's where I met some of my other loved ones. But for the most part, big party scenes. I mean, I went to clubs, but I can probably count them in my hand. But even as an adult, I'm overwhelmed with big events, big meetings even. I tend to sit by myself at work when there's those large staff meetings or organizational meetings. I try to find a spot where there's maybe nobody at the table, or maybe 1 or 2 people, and it feels like home. But yeah, just wanted to share those recent revelations that I'm recognizing in myself as I'm learning more about this process. And so this is probably going to get all chopped up. I doubt this is probably going to be a video in its own. But yeah, just wanted to share it. So, yeah, I hope you guys have